Hi everyone. Welcome to another installment of I Effin Love Cinema. There was no live stream today. Frankly, I didn't really have much of a plan, but but because I didn't do the live stream, I finally had the time to watch Barbarian. Mikael, this one's for you, buddy, specifically. He's been asking me a lot to cover this one, and I've heard so many podcasts talk about this movie, and I totally get it. I totally get the hype here. This I'm gonna start off not spoiling anything, but I will definitely give you guys a heads up when I spoil something because right off the bat, this is the kind of movie that like everybody says it's a bit of a cliche when it comes to Barbarian, but the less you know about it, the better. So I'm not going to be giving any story details here up first, but there will be a spoiler break, and I'll give you guys a good heads up for it, so you guys can pause, go watch it, and come back. You're gonna want to do it for this movie, trust me, because this is why I love cinema, guys. This is the kind of movie that reminds me why I love movies, especially horror movies. Um, you know, there is a central mystery here, and it unfolds in a very interesting way because this is a great exercise in escalation. Every like maybe 10 or 20 minutes, something else is revealed that just ratchets up the tension higher and higher and higher until it really just reaches a fever pitch in the third act. And what I really loved about it is that the title Barbarian, it has a lot of layers in this story. I think one thing that I'm comfortable to reveal up front is that it takes place on Barbary Road in Detroit. Barbarian. That's all I'm gonna say for now. All I'm gonna say is that what this movie does with that idea of a barbarian, of somebody, of a savage, of a cruel person, definitely takes on a lot of different meanings and stuff like that. I guess in a lot of ways, it's one of those thought provoking titles because I think throughout the movie, most people, myself included, are going to be asking, why is it called Barbarian? And by the end, it offers a very, very satisfying, very clever solution to that. That is in very typical horror, a bit tragic. A bit tragic in a very interesting way. So I want to say that the writing and the direction, especially, is fantastic here. But the writing, the way that this story unfolds, like there's so many twists and turns to it. It goes some really really unexpected places. It starts off with the initial Airbnb kind of like spooky Airbnb thing, which is kind of stock horror, but it's effective. It's really effective. It's really engaging until things happen that kind of reveal this movie's depths. And by the time it all kind of coalesces into this great big picture, you intuit a lot of why, a lot of the sort of like undertones, and I mean that a little bit literally here, a lot of the undertones that are carrying on through this movie. The actors are fantastic. Zach Kreger, who is one of the whitest kids you know, well, whitest kids you know gangs, and he did one comedy movie before this, and before that he did a bunch of skits with whitest kids you know back in the day. And it turns out he's fucking fantastic at making horror movies. I really hope that he doesn't. This is not the last we see of him when it comes to horror films, because he really proves himself to be a promising, very promising director here when it comes to horror. So I think that's gonna go ahead and be the end of my spoiler-free section. If you're gonna continue on to this point, this is not the kind of movie you want to know stuff about. Trust me. Like normally, I would say I don't care if you want to watch because you don't care about spoilers. No, this is a good movie. This is a movie you should watch. This is a movie you should watch knowing nothing about it. I can't think of a single person that I wouldn't recommend it to. I mean, my girlfriend Lindsay, she is not a horror fan, but she loved this movie. She really was a big fan of it by the end, because it's a fantastic film. And again, I can't imagine someone who I would not recommend this to. So this movie is a huge recommend for me. But at this point, if I'm really gonna have to dig into some spoilers here to continue saying why I love this movie. So I'm giving you guys 3 seconds. Three, two, one. If you haven't seen it, you need to go see it. You need to go see it. You need to come back because here we go, guys. Jeez. the layers in this movie. Like, so I think the initial question that this movie, like I said, asks is who is the barbarian, right? And I love the way that when it's the Zach and Tessa story, you're so like unsure about fucking that Scott guy or whatever the guy's name. Keith, I'm sorry, Keith. Yeah, you're so like unsure about Keith, like Skarsgård. I think it's Bill Skarsgård. Pennywise from it. He really does a good job of like playing the character right down the line. You're never sure if he's a good guy or if he's a creepy asshole, right? And then the irony of ironies is that once we find out that no, he really is a good guy, he dies, and then we cut to an actual rapist, like the guy who actually did the thing Tessa was afraid was going to happen to her, right? And this is where the sort of the brilliance of the movie happens because with AJ, the Me Too director of a sitcom and stuff like that, you kind of get this traditional sort of like anti-hero sort of figure where he has a moment of redemption, right? We'll get to that moment, but I really like that he never breaks the selfishness streak that he has in him. He's clearly a very self-centered, very selfish guy, and that scene with him measuring the square footage, I mean, his greed is what gets to him, right? Like he in a lot, and you think the movie is going to go with no, the AJ is the barbarian, and you think the movie's going to take like an ironic turn, but then we cut to the 80s, to the original owner of the house, and we find out that he's a serial killer and stuff. And then we cut back to Tessa, and then like, oh God, guys, the layers here that's going on, because what I mean by this is sort of a tragic movie is that when we catch back up with AJ and Tessa under the house and stuff like that, like we go through this whole journey between Tessa and AJ. And by the way, Lindsay called it the flying titty monster, which is a great name for it. But I found that monster to be very tragic and very human. Like you can kind of sense the pain emanating from that character, that she just wants to be a mother. She wants to be a mother so bad, and this is the only way that she can do that. And again, like this movie is such like classic horror because that is so insanely tragic. So then we have that scene between like AJ and Tessa. Tessa escapes the house, and AJ discovers the original serial killer living under the house. And he's this old, decrepit, bedridden guy who's already done all the murders he's gonna do, and he's just kind of sitting there, slowly dying, rewatching the videos of his past and all that. And by the way, a great thing that this movie does, it doesn't explain everything. It gives you just enough to freak you out. Like, why is that bell there for if he can't get out of bed? And why is it there if he has the locked room somewhere else up above in the basement and stuff like that? Again, there's so many things that just add to the creepiness because they never get explained. So then you have the scene with AJ and Tessa, where Tessa, and here's the thing, Tessa to me is like, in my opinion, the barbarian that we're talking about here. She doesn't start off that way. She starts off the movie being a genuinely good person, and she deals with this monster and stuff like that who kept her locked up and shit. But like, who she understands that she just wants to be a mother. Like, she's figured out how to live with it to some extent, and then she gets out, she goes to the cops. The cops clearly don't do shit. Let's face it, the most honest portrayal of American police officers we've probably seen in cinema in a while. And so, anyways, so the cops go with her, and they're fucking useless. So she takes matters into her own hands, right? And she destroys she runs over this monster, and she thinks that she kills him, and she does the right thing and goes down to try to save AJ. But then AJ, after seeing the murderer kill himself, like takes the gun and shoots Tessa, thinking that that she's the monster lady, and a totally honest mistake, right? Like, I probably would have done the same thing, to be totally honest. And for a minute there, it seems like AJ is being set up for a redemption arc. But what I really love is in the climactic moment, it's such a like testament to AJ's characterization, that in this like, he wanted to be a good guy, he wanted to prove himself. He kept saying like, I'm a good person who did a bad thing, I'm a good person who did a bad thing. And then when the monster breaks through, he just reveals his true nature of being an absolute coward. And then he throws fucking Tessa off the top of that water tower. and you're like, oh fuck you, AJ, you're the barbarian, right? You're the barbarian. But then the final twist of this movie, what makes it so fucking brilliant, is that the monster, the flying titty monster, goes and saves Tessa, breaks her fall, and she looks like she's dead. You know, this poor woman, this victim of incest, this victim of seeing her mother die probably and stuff like that. And all she wants to do is be a mother. And she sacrifices herself to try to save Tessa. So she may have been a monstrous figure, but she wasn't necessarily a monster herself. You know, I mean, she did monstrous things, but she didn't really have a choice. She's tragic in that sense, and that's the beauty of horror, right? Is that horror it manages to take a lot of like the harsh tragedies of life and put them in a way that is explorable and stuff like that. And this movie does that so well. It's so classic horror in that sense. So, anyways, so AJ throws Tessa off the fucking thing. The flying titty monster goes and catches her, and you think the flying titty monster is dead. And Tessa's revealed to be alive, and AJ's like, oh shit, all my bad, oh shit, all like if you think about it, like it wasn't really my fault, the way those sort of like toxic cowards always sort of back out of shit. And then, dude, oh my god, just the brilliance of this ending is that the monster gets up, and because the monster saw AJ try to kill her baby, and Tessa fucking smashes his skull in, and it's like fucking satisfying as hell because this guy, like he had his chance. He had his chance to prove his worth. And he totally failed at it. So it was super satisfying to see him die, and then all of a sudden it's just Tessa, and it's just the monster. And then like to me, what's so great was that like Tessa understands the humanity beneath that monster to some extent, but what she has been through, the stuff that she's gone through, between between what happened with her and Keith, between being locked up under there and all that, between getting thrown off the fucking top of the water tower by AJ, like she at this point has been reduced to a pure survivor. And also what happened with the police, right? And getting shot and all these things, like she's a survivor now. And that's all she is, and that's her only priority. So what does she do? She kills the monster. And like it's tragic. Again, this is horror, so it's layers of tragedy here. But like she, in a sense, like lost her humanity. And so, well, I mean, it's arguable whether she lost her humanity, but I think, in my opinion, she is the barbarian because like that monster, for yeah, it might have locked her up, but in the end she redeemed herself by showing that she really did care about her as a baby, as fucked up as it was. Like in her heart of hearts, that was her daughter. And that was a sincere connection to the point that she was willing to sacrifice herself for it. And yet, because of all the suffering that Tessa went through, she had to kill her. She had to kill the thing because she had to survive, and she had to make sure that she was safe. And that's what like I think yeah, there's sociopaths out there, but I think for the most part, a lot of people who turn bad or who do bad things, it's a series of tragedies and stuff like that. And you see that journey with Tessa, and it's like I said, guys, this is a great entry, and I fucking love cinema because it's this kind of shit. It's this sort of fucking. It's just living up to what horror should be. This is why I love cinema. It's a way that in an hour and 45 minutes we got to experience so much in terms of like emotionality, in terms of themes, in terms of like exploring the idea of barbarism and stuff like that. And it's this complete tightly woven little package, and it's funny because I walked out of the theater and I turned to Lindsay and I said, Lindsay, like the only thing that really kind of bothered me about it was that like I wish it was a little more scary. But then within like the 2-minute drive from the theater to my house, like we talked it out, and then that's when I came with the Tesla thing. I was like, wow, that's brilliant. And then Lindsay, when we were getting pretty close to my house, she said, the only thing that I wish was different is that I wish we knew more. I wish we knew more of what happened. And I thought, and I said, you know what, Lindsay, but isn't that what we love? Isn't that the sign of a great movie, that the only thing you really wish at the end was that there was more to it? I mean, guys, what's so great is that she's right. Like the movie doesn't reveal all its cards, but it reveals enough to really be effective and to achieve its goals as a story and as a horror film, and it does it fantastically well. Um, I really, really fucking love this movie. If you're watching this again, Mikael, shout out, bro. This video's for you, dog. Yeah, I just cannot overstate enough just how much I appreciate it. This has been a great year for horror, guys. It's been a fantastic year for horror between the Black Phone, Nope, and this. Like just these three summer horror movies. Fucking bravo. This is some good shit, guys. Um, yeah, I guess I for the people who have seen it, please, talk to me about it. I want to know what your thoughts are. I want to know what your ideas are, maybe your theories about the sort of greater mythology around all this, because there's so much to dig into here. So again, everybody who's stuck around. Also, can we just like say Zachary Greger, man? Hey, fucking, if you're watching this, bro, bravo, man, bravo. You really really did something here. And I really hope that we see some more work from him. It's been like 10 years since his previous movie. I hope he gets something lined up right after this, because I want to see more of what this guy has to offer. I don't know if I want like a Barbarian sequel. I don't know where you would go with it, but like I really want to see what this guy does. And don't you love that about like between him and like Jordan Peele, these comedy guys who go on to make horror, like they just have such a like a very clever way of structuring their films, because to me, a good movie is like a good joke. There's a good payoff, there's a good setup, there's a good payoff, and the punchline is usually really clever. It has layers to it. And between like with Jordan Peele's work and Zachary Kreger here, like yeah, like like more comedy people should make horror movies, I think is what I'm trying to say, because this is a movie that just, it's a little bit of a gift. I cannot overstate how much I enjoyed this. This is a fantastic movie. So yeah, if you've made it this far, I hope you didn't fucking ruin this experience for yourself. So please, in the comments, tell me what you think. Mikael, I definitely want to hear what you got to say, bro. And god damn it, dude, I really can't wait for this to come out on 4K. This is gonna be such a rewatchable movie. This is gonna be one of those movies that I show to everyone. I'll let everybody borrow, dude. Like, cause this is horror gold. So, anyways, that's all for today. That's all for this installment of I Fucking Love Cinema. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Make sure you hit the comments. Um, Seriously, guys. I've been Ed. You guys have been awesome. Have a good